So today I'm gonna talk to you about 5 factors that's gonna make you motivated at anything or everything you do. The number one factor is focus. Have you ever tried to get to a destination without knowing the location? No, right? That's dumb. Now, this goes hand in hand with your goals. If you can't define your goals in one concise sentence, then you have no goal. You can't get to anywhere you want to be if you don't know the location. It's the same as you can't get to where you want to be if you don't have a defined goal. Now, be specific. Know what you want. If you don't know what you want, you will eventually end up being all over the place, trying out everything or anything at all, taking decisions that don't even matter. Focus is all created from sight and vision. You can't focus your arrow on a target that you can't see. Your brain is always on taking in information, which means it constantly has to choose what to pay attention to and what to filter out. Neuroscientists call this the selective attention. Now, if you don't know what to take in or take it out, you might take in everything, and this creates an information overload. And what happens to every system that takes in too much information is it crashes. Now, you have to identify your goals. Write it out in one concise sentence, or actually try to write it out in 3 words. Once you know your defined goal and you can concisely say it, now you can create focus. The second factor is to divide and conquer. Have you ever tried or have you ever had a goal in mind and you just gave up in less than 2 weeks after you started? Or have you ever decided to go to the gym but after 2 weeks you gave up? Well, this is because you didn't divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is when you take large tasks or long-term goals and divide them into small tasks or short-term goals. Whenever you're starting on a goal, never start out hard. This will instantly create fatigue in your brain, which will eventually discourage you from reaching that exact goal. Divide and conquer doesn't just mean it's going to make it easier for you to do a task, but it also creates a system for your brain to get used to and develop over time. Now, an example of this is how I started out lifting weights. At first, I couldn't lift the bar, but I set a goal to increase my strength. So the first week, I just started lifting bars. I started training myself to lift bars. And I know this sounds like lifting just bars is a waste of time, but this actually got me into the groove of actually going to the gym. I wasn't all that tired the first week because I just lifted all in bars. So I really didn't have any reason to give up. The next week, I added 10 pounds. This was a little bit challenging, but who cares? I was happy that I moved to 10 pounds. And this created a feeling in my mind that I was making progress. And the next week, I added 20 pounds. Now, the next week after that, I tried 30 pounds, but that was kind of hard. So I stuck to 20 pounds for 2 more weeks. But now I am at 200 pounds, and I have been doing this for the past 2 years. No, 1 year actually. With all being said, if I hadn't divided and conquered, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with my goal. Even though I could lift, or I could have been able to lift 20 pounds as starters, I didn't lift 20 pounds because if I did, I would have gotten tired, lazy, stressed out, because my brain isn't used to all that work overload. And a bucket load of new habits to my brain isn't helping my brain. Now, the third factor is why power. This is a reason to reach a goal. The power of your why is a reason that makes you stick to the grind. Until you have a set desire and motivation in place, you will abandon that new path you seek to better your life. If you don't have a reason to do something, you will end up like every person that makes a New Year's resolution and give up. If I were to put a 30-foot plank on the ground and tell you to walk the length of that plank, and if you walk the length of that plank, I'll give you $20. Of course you do it. It's an easy $20. But if I put the same plank on the rooftop in between 2 buildings and tell you to cross over for that same $20, of course you wouldn't do it. That's crazy. But if your child was on the other side of the building and that building was on fire, you wouldn't think twice about crossing that bridge. Now, do you actually see how motivation can be created from your why? Because you had a reason to cross that bridge, you were motivated to cross that bridge to save a child. This is why it is important to find your reason behind your goals. Now, the other factor is force fields. You know how force fields influence the objects in the vicinity. This is exactly how your surroundings affect you consciously and unconsciously. According to the Webster, force fields are the force, a special trauma or a spirit that can influence anyone in its presence. In medical school, we were taught that one way to recognize that a patient is depressed is by examining our own mood once we finish interacting with them. If we feel depressed ourselves, a good chance exists that we are too depressed. And the principle of Buddhism is that the oneness of life and its environment addresses this phenomenon. Our own life states find itself mirrored in and mirrored out by our environment. In other words, everyone's life tends towards the average of those around them. So make sure you surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Now the last factor is discipline. This is basically taking all of these factors and sticking to it. Practicing good habits that complement your goals, ignoring bad habits that are detrimental to your goals. But you should check out my future and previous videos on habits and how to maintain self-discipline. To sum things up, there are 5 factors to implement for motivation. Number 1 is focus. Define your goals concisely. And number 2 is divide and conquer. Take large tasks or long-term goals and divide them into small tasks or short-term goals. Number 3 is why power. You need to have a reason to chase a goal. Number 4 is force fields. Surround yourself with positive, like-minded individuals. And the last one is discipline. Maintain a good habit. Remember, all these are researched, and all these are backed up by research and research scientists. So make sure you apply all of this to stick to your motivation, to stick to your goals. Without further ado, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel for the daily dose of success at anything or everything you do. Peace.